All right, what's up, guys? We should be live. We have a big slate today, and we have a lot of news to talk about. The trade deadline is on Thursday, and we already saw a bunch of trades go down this afternoon, and there were basically all the trades impact today's slate. So we're gonna, kind of talk through this news real quick before we get started answering questions. So we'll start off with the Pacers. So they made some big trades. They traded away Sabonis to the Kings. The Kings, obviously, they traded away some players as well. We'll talk about them in a second. But Sabonis is now going to be out for the Pacers. We obviously know LeVert's no longer on the team. Brogdon's still questionable. Good chance Brogdon probably doesn't play. There's a lot of other guys questionable. Isaiah Jackson questionable. Terry Taylor questionable. Right now, I think now that Sabonis is out for the Pacers, the biggest beneficiary is definitely going to be Goga. I'm expecting Goga to start at center. Goga's really cheap. We saw whenever Goga was starting at center when Sabonis and Turner were both out, like he was playing big minutes. He was producing pretty well. His price was really high. He was priced in like the 6K range. I mean, we're getting Goga at a really good price point. So, first off, I think with Sabonis now out, Goga looks like a really good value. I like him quite a bit. I think if Malcolm Brogdon doesn't play, then we can start to look to guys like Duarte, Kiefer Sykes, if you want to go there, Dwayne Washington. But definitely Goga, I like quite a bit as a value now that now that Sabonis is going to be out for the Pacers. They also traded away Jeremy Lamb and Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday. So without Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday, probably you see more minutes for like Torrey Craig, O'Shea Brissett, Lance Stevenson. But I don't think these guys are going to be, like standout values. There's so much value today. There's going to be more value that we'll talk about later. But definitely wanted to hit on that because, now that the Pacers don't have Sabonis, there's definitely value there. On Brooklyn, James Harden, I thought was going to play today, but he got ruled out. So now that James Harden's out, obviously, scary spot here against Boston. There's a lot of blowout risk, but I think if this game stays close, Patty Mills offers plenty of upside. He should have, the ball in his hands a lot, should take plenty of shot attempts. Cam Thomas, I think, probably will play even in a blowout. I like Cam Thomas quite a bit as a value. He's been really good these last few games. Now you take Harden off the floor, you take Kyrie off the floor. I mean, Cam Thomas should have plenty of opportunity to score, to play big minutes. I think he's in play now with Harden out. And then we can start to look to some of these other guys, these fringe guys, DeAndre Bembry, Bruce Brown. We'll have to wait and see what the starting lineup is for Brooklyn. That's going to impact a good amount, but good amount to like from Brooklyn as well. Just so you know that this is a little bit of a scarier spot because there is a lot of blowout risk here. I could see, guys like Patty Mills failing, some of these other guys failing, but I think if this game does stay close, you could see a lot of guys do well from Brooklyn because, most of these guys are pretty cheap and they're going to have to play minutes. Brooklyn, I think, only has 10 available players, so you're going to see pretty good minutes for Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, Blake Griffin should play a good amount as well. Definitely like some guys from Brooklyn for sure. And then, some of these other games, the Pelicans, they trade away Josh Hart and NAW. I don't think that makes too much of an impact on this slate. But, guys like Ingram, J-Val, definitely in play in a really good matchup. But then these late games, so there's a lot of stuff to like in these late games. First off, the Knicks, they're sitting Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. If you want to play Taj Gibson, I think it's okay. But with so much value today, I don't think we really need to go to Taj Gibson. But he's at least in play now with Robinson and Noel both out. I think that gives a little boost to Julius Randle if you wanted to go to Julius Randle. But these last two games, Orlando, Portland, we'll start off with Portland. So Portland's the team that we get a lot of value from today. CJ McCollum was traded to the Pelicans, so he's going to be out today. And they also traded away Tony Snell and Larry Nance. Larry Nance was already out, but he's going to be out. And the Tony Snell's out too. So right now it looks like Portland's only going to have non-available players. Nurkic, Simons, McLemore, Ellaby, Watford, DSJ, and then Greg Brown, Winslow, and Blevins. Those are the only non-available players for Portland. So there's a lot of value from Portland. I think Justice Winslow probably starts at power forward. He's one of my favorite value plays right now. He's $3K, he's minimum salary. He probably plays close to, if not over 30 minutes. I think Justice Winslow is a great value play now. I think we should see more minutes for a guy like Ben McLemore. So at 3,500, I like Ben McLemore quite a bit for value. I think he's firmly in play. And then I think both Nurkic and Simons, I mean, their workloads should be massive. You know, Nurkic and Simons without CJ should be getting a ton of usage here. They should play big minutes. This game should stay close going up against Orlando. So really like Nurkic, really like Simons. I think McLemore and Justice Winslow are really, really good values. And if you want to go to Ellaby, I don't hate that. You know, if you wanted to play like Greg Brown or someone else, I think it's fine. But definitely Winslow, like a lot for value. McLemore, like a lot for value. Simons and Nurkic, both strong plays as well. And lastly, on Sacramento, so they traded away Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to Indiana. So now that Halliburton's out, we're still waiting on De'Aaron Fox news. I'm guessing De'Aaron Fox will play. I think we did get word that he was a full participant in practice. So Fox should play. I think even with Fox back, man, like Davion Mitchell should play a ton. I think Davion Mitchell will get plenty of minutes. He's someone that I like quite a bit. He's been playing huge minutes without Halliburton. You know, even though Fox could play today, I still think Davion Mitchell plays a ton. And man, like by some chance, if Fox sits, Davion's going to play like huge minutes. So I really like Davion with Halliburton out. Buddy Hield's, you know, not on the team either. So Buddy Hield's out too. Should be a ton of Davion minutes. Love Davion quite a bit. Like him a lot. And that's probably it from Sacramento. I think that covers basically everything here. Definitely wanted to hit on Davion though, because I think now that Halliburton and Buddy Hield are both out, Davion is a really, really good play. And he'll look even better if Fox sits too. But that's all the news for today. Big news day, guys. With the trade deadline on Thursday, we're probably going to have a lot of news, you know, tomorrow and Thursday as well. And we did just get some news we just got some news here. Malcolm Brogdon and Isaiah Jackson are both out. So there you go. So that's going to thin the Pacers up, you know, pretty good. I mean, they're only going to have like, I want to say 9 or 10 guys. So no Brogdon, no Isaiah Jackson. So they have Duarte. Do we get word on Terry Taylor? Doesn't look like we got any word on Terry Taylor. But assuming Terry Taylor plays, it'll be Duarte, Terry Taylor, Torrey Craig, Goga, Washington, Sykes, Brissett, Stevenson. Is Reggie Perry still on the team? I don't think he is. I don't think Justin Anderson's on the team. I mean, man, the Pacers, like, they might only have like 8 or 9 bodies. So there's going to be a lot to like from the Pacers. Let me see how many guys were projected for minutes. Let's see. So the Pacers had, let's see here. So Goga, Duarte, Craig, Washington, Stevenson, Sykes, Brissett, Brogdon, Jackson, Taylor, Perry. So if you take Jackson out, you take Brogdon out, that leaves them with Goga, Duarte, Craig, Washington, Stevenson, Sykes, Brissett, Taylor, Perry. So that's 9 bodies. So I'm guessing they'll have a max of 9 players. Indiana will. You know, this is another spot where there's some blowout risk going up against a pretty good Hawks team. But like, man, if this game stays close, I think Duarte plays a ton. I think Torrey Craig plays a ton. Goga might still play in a blowout. I don't really know, but I think his minutes should be pretty high regardless. I think as long as Goga stays out of foul trouble, he's going to play 30-plus minutes. And he's 4,200, so, man, I really like Goga, especially now that Isaiah Jackson's out too. And we don't know yet if Terry Taylor's playing. That's still a question mark. We didn't really get an update there. We just got word that Brogdon's out and Jackson's out, but no update on Terry Taylor. So, yeah, Pacers, man, there's going to be a lot of value from the Pacers to talk about for sure. All right, guys, I'm going to start trying to answer some questions. We already have a ton of questions in the chat, man. We'll just start from the bottom. So if you asked a question before, usually if you ask questions before I go live, sometimes I won't be able to go to them. So just ask your questions again. We'll just start from the bottom. Even in a blowout, who can they sit with just 9 bodies? I mean, that's very true. Like, when you look at these teams with, shortened rotations, you kind of have to think who would play in a blowout. So like for Indiana, if this game's really ugly and it's a blowout, I would think Duarte doesn't play. I would think Torrey Craig doesn't play. Those are the only, I could see Goga playing in a blowout. I could see Washington, Sykes, Brissett, Stevenson, those guys playing in a blowout. But Duarte would probably sit in a blowout, and so would Torrey Craig. That's about it, though. Or those are the only two guys I feel confident would sit. 3,900 Sykes, you don't like him? I think now that Brogdon's out, Sykes is definitely in play. Sykes did start last game in place of Brogdon. He didn't really play that well. But you got to think, Sabonis was playing then. Now that you take Sabonis out, there's just so much usage available. I mean, the Pacers are basically they're missing all their good players. I mean, no Sabonis, no LeVert, no Brogdon, no Turner. So it's going to be Duarte. These are going to be the guys taking shots. It's going to be Duarte, Craig, Goga, Sykes, Washington. There's definitely guys to go to from the Pacers. It's really hard to project the Pacers when they're missing their entire team, because you just don't know how these guys are going to play. This is obviously a spot where they could just get the crap beat out of them. But man, you got to think if this game stays close, it's probably because Duarte's playing really well, or Torrey Craig's playing well, because those are the only guys that can really create shot attempts for themselves. Dwayne Washington, Sykes, maybe Lance Stevenson. You like Ingram and Giannis's pay-ups? I think both are viable. There's so much value today that you can kind of just pay up for whoever you want. So right now, I don't have much of a preference when it comes to pay-ups. I think Giannis is one of my favorites. Jokic I always like, but with how much value there is today, I mean, just kind of pay up for whoever you like. I'm kind of leaning Jokic and Giannis is my two favorites. Goga or Griffin? I would say Goga over Blake Griffin. Just because I think that Nets game could get ugly, and if it does, I don't think Blake Griffin would play in a blowout. Whereas if the Pacers get blown out tonight, I could see Goga still playing in a blowout. Maybe. It's not a guarantee, but I could see it. Nurkic or Julius Randle? I would side with Nurkic. How would you rank the Portland players? So for Portland, I would probably say my favorites are... Justice Winslow, when you look at value, he's my favorite. He's my favorite value overall today, I think, is Winslow. But I like Simons a lot. I like Nurkic a lot. I like McLemore a lot. Those four, I think, those are my four favorites. I would probably rank them Winslow, Simons, McLemore, Nurkic when you factor in salary. And if you want to play Ellaby, no issues with that. I guess you could go to Dennis Smith Jr. You could play Greg Brown, but those four are my four favorites. Any love for Jaren Jackson? Probably not on this slate. There's just so many shorthanded teams today. Memphis, they're pretty much fully healthy right now. I think only guy I like from Memphis is Ja. Grant Williams, any interest with a potential blowout? Would Grant Williams play in a blowout? I could see them playing, in his freedom, or man, maybe he would play in a blowout. I don't know. I don't think I would go there. There's just too much other value today to be playing Grant Williams. Mitchell and Duarte, or one of them and Mills. So Davion Mitchell and Duarte or Mills. If you're asking for pick two of those three, I would say Mitchell and Duarte, but that's close. Mitchell's definitely my favorite there, though, of the three. Any pay-up options you like that's going under-owned or overlooked? I think ownership for the pay-up guys is going to be kind of spread out. I don't think there's going to be any pay-up guy that gets massive ownership. So, I think Embiid's going to be pretty low-owned. I think Luka's going to be fairly low-owned. But, right now, in terms of projected ownership, the highest owned, quote-unquote stud is LeBron. Right now, LeBron's projected ownership is 22%. So, there's not going to be any stud that gets, massive ownership. So, you kind of just play your favorites, whoever you like the most. Or whoever you think, is coming in with the lowest ownership. I think Embiid will be really low-owned. I think Luka will be really low-owned. So, those are two guys you could play for low ownership. Giannis, Washington Jr., and Brissett, or Randall, Mills, and Şengün. Give me the first, Bill. Give me the first. Thoughts on Ellaby? I think Ellaby's in play. He should start again, play probably 30 minutes. Again, there's only 9 available players for Portland, so Ellaby's going to get plenty of run. He's really cheap. There's a lot of value today. I don't think Ellaby's one of my favorites, but he's definitely in play. Ellaby or McLemore being swapped out for any Indiana players? We'll have to wait and see what the Indiana starting lineup is. I'm guessing it'll be Sykes, Duarte, Craig, Goga, and then maybe, like, if O'Shea Brissett starts, I'd have a good amount of interest in him. If Lance Stevenson were to start, I'd like him quite a bit. But right now, I still think the Portland value, I think I like more than the Pacers value. Still. Patty Mills, how are you feeling about him? I think when it comes to Patty Mills, it's all about the game staying close. If Brooklyn comes out here and they get the crap beat out of them, Patty Mills probably shits the bed. If Brooklyn keeps this game close and Patty Mills plays his full minutes, he probably does well. So, if you're playing Patty Mills, you're kind of hoping that game stays close. Simons or Mitchell? I would take Simons straight up. Luka, Jokic, or Embiid? I mean, give me Jokic there, but I don't have much of a preference when it comes to the studs. Rank these: Edwards, Ellaby, McLemore. Probably would go McLemore, Ellaby, Edwards in that order. Who won that trade with the Kings and Pacers? I'm surprised the Kings moved Halliburton. Yeah, I was surprised they moved Halliburton as well. Halliburton's young. He's got a bright future. I really thought that, like, he was kind of the guy they were going to build around. I mean, there had been talks about Halliburton being traded, but I was very surprised that they traded him for Sabonis. Like, I thought they would have traded Halliburton for, like, a superstar. I mean, not saying Sabonis isn't a good player, because he really is, but can Sabonis go out? Can Sabonis be the guy that leads you to a championship? I mean, no. I mean, he's not. So it was kind of odd to see Halliburton get moved. Middleton or Drew? If I had to pick one, probably go with Drew, but outside of Giannis, I don't really like any other Bucks today. Giannis and Jokic in the same lineup. I mean, if you can make it work, which you should be able to with so much value today, I'm totally fine with that. I'm pivoting off Duarte in case of a blowout. I mean, that's fine. Like, yeah, if that game does blow out, I think Duarte probably sits in a blowout. He doesn't play in a blowout, I wouldn't think. Giannis, LeBron, Davis, or Towns? Give me Giannis. Favorite value point guard, shooting guard? I mean, it's probably like Davion or Cam Thomas, like one of those guys. Ben McLemore, you could play. We have to go to Stars and Scrubs with all this value. Who do we focus on for spin dubs? I kind of said it earlier, like, I don't have much of a preference when it comes to the spin dubs. I think you just kind of play whoever's your favorite, whoever's coming in with the lowest ownership, whoever you want to play. I'm leaning like Jokic and Giannis as my two favorites, but man, when it comes to the studs, all these guys have massive upside. I think, like, if you really want to go for low ownership, Joel Embiid should be really low owned. Luka should be really low owned. But when it comes to the studs today, just kind of play whoever you want, I'll be honest. I'm leaning Jokic and Giannis as my favorites. Do you like Şengün tonight? If Şengün starts again, I think he's in play. If he doesn't start, I would be a little bit hesitant to go there. But I think if Şengün starts again, he's a pretty good value. All right, so the Pacers available players. We just got, this is really important. So Sykes, Duarte, Craig, Brissett, Goga, Lance. So they have 8 players. The Pacers have 8 bodies. So yeah, man, that's big. Wow. So I'm guessing, like, all these other guys are not available. So, like, yeah, I guess, like, Justin Anderson, none of these guys are available. So yeah, the Pacers only have 8 players. I would think if this game blows out, the guys playing in a blowout would probably be Sykes, Brissett, maybe Goga. I think the blowout lineup would be Sykes, Brissett, Stevenson, Washington, and then one of Goga or Taylor. That would probably be who plays in a blowout. I don't think Duarte would play in a blowout, and I don't think Torrey Craig would play in a blowout. So those are the riskier options, just because if the game does get ugly, those guys probably don't play a ton. But again, they only have 8 bodies, so, like, they're going to get minutes regardless. You're going to have to look to some Pacers now. I thought they had more than 8 bodies, but 8 bodies, I mean, that's really, really thin. I mean, yeah, like, God, Lance Stevenson, like, I could definitely see Lance Stevenson playing 25 minutes and smashing. I mean, we know Lance Stevenson, when he's out there, he's going to chuck. Plus, it's a revenge game, too. I thought he was on Atlanta for a little bit this year. I think he signed, like, a 10-day with Atlanta earlier this season. Kind of like me some Lance Stevenson as a tournament option. Is Ellaby starting? Ellaby should be starting. I'm guessing that the Portland starting lineup will be Simons, McLemore, Ellaby, Winslow, and Nurkic. I'm guessing that'll be the starting 5 for Portland. Sykes and Mills or Bembry and Smart? Give me Sykes and Mills. I'd say Sykes is blowout proof. Is Goga blowout proof? I think Sykes will play in a blowout. Goga, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't know. Like, I think they would play Terry Taylor in a blowout, but they could play Terry Taylor and Goga together. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty confident, though, that Duarte and Craig would not play in a blowout. The other guys, I really don't know. It's kind of just a guess. Ayton or Robert Williams? I would side with Robert Williams there if I had to pick one. Your top value shooting guard? I mean, if you're looking for a value shooting guard, you're probably looking to, like, Davion or Cam Thomas or Ben McLemore. Like, one of those three guys. It depends what you consider value. Simons, Cam Thomas, Duarte, Winslow, Nurk, Davion Mitchell, Giannis, 5K utilities. I mean, I think that looks pretty good, Ryan. Let me see if I can find a 5K util. You already have Cam Thomas, yeah. I mean, I'm fine going with that and then plugging in Blake Griffin as your util. The only worry about Blake is that, I think if this game does blow out, Blake probably does not play much. But we saw Blake play really well last game that he started at center. So I like that lineup. And if you want to play Blake as your util, I'm fine with that. Embiid and Mitchell or Anthony Davis and RJ Barrett. Give me Embiid and Mitchell there. Will Harrison Barnes get more usage now? I mean, I think, now that Halliburton's out, like, he's definitely viable. But I will say that, like, Harrison Barnes is not that cheap anymore. I mean, he's, like, almost 7K now. Whereas I think, like, Davion, I mean, 5,400 for Davion is probably still too cheap, especially if Fox gets ruled out, too. I mean, Davion literally could play, like, 40 minutes tonight. 40-plus minutes, for that matter. Because, like, they don't have any other guards. Now, if Fox were to sit, they don't have Terrence Davis. They don't have Buddy Hield. Like, the only other guards they have are, like, Jamias Ramsey. So, I mean, Davion would play, like, massive minutes if Fox sits. Harrison Barnes, his workload should be good, too. But, yeah, 6,700. Like, you're not getting Harrison Barnes at a discount anymore. Davion, he's for sure my favorite play from Sacramento. How many minutes for Cam Thomas? I mean, I can take a look at his minutes projection. I would think it's pretty high. There's a chance that Cam Thomas may not start, but he's still projected for good minutes. Let me check. I think last time I looked, it was like 31 was his minutes projection. And that was with him expected to come off the bench. Damn, these projections aren't refreshing. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, it was a 31 minutes projection for Cam Thomas. And I think Cam Thomas would probably play in a blowout. So let's see. Yeah, he's projected for 31 minutes. And again, like, I think even if the game gets ugly, he's probably still out there. So what's Trey's upside in a blowout? Yeah, that's the worry. If you're rostering any Atlanta guys, you're hoping the game stays close. And I could definitely, I mean, it's a great matchup for Trey. Like, you look at the guys that are going to be out there guarding Trey. Sykes, Duarte, Lance Stevenson, like, these guys are terrible defenders. So I think Trey has massive upside, but man, like, if the game gets ugly, I mean, he might only play 26 minutes. If you're playing, like, a lot of Indiana guys and you want to run it back with someone on Atlanta, I think that's fine. Thoughts on Maxey? Yeah, I don't think this is a slate I'd be playing Maxey. Just too many other guys that stand out. And you're not really getting Maxey at much of a discount anymore. I mean, he's over 7K now. Ja or LeBron, who should I choose? I'd lean LeBron over Ja if I had to pick one, but that's really close. Washington or Bataze, I would prefer Goga. Lance or Ellaby, I would probably still side with Ellaby, but if they start Lance, if Lance winds up starting, I would like him a lot. Because I think Lance, man, he could play. If he winds up starting and plays like 30 minutes, I mean, he could crush. We know Lance, when he's out there, he's not just going to stand in the corner. Like, Lance is going to, get the ball in his hands. He's going to drive the basket. He'll take shots. He might shoot a ton and miss a ton, but Lance is going to produce when he's out there. He's not just going to stand in the corner. So, like, if they start Lance, I would like Lance a lot. If he comes off the bench, it's a little bit riskier. But again, Indiana only has 8 bodies, so he would probably still play, at least like low 20s minutes. And I think he would play in a blowout too. What game do you think remains close? Because lately just every game turns into a blowout. I mean, that's true, man. It seems like the games you expect to blow out are the ones that stay close, and the games you expect to stay close are the ones that blow out. It's just been so unpredictable. I mean, I'd have to think, like, Phoenix, Philadelphia, that should be a close game. Houston, New Orleans should be a close game. The Lakers game should stay close. The Sacramento game should stay close. The Portland game should stay close. I could see Denver blowing out the Knicks, especially with the Knicks being on a back-to-back. Definitely could see Boston blowing out Brooklyn. Definitely could see Atlanta blowing out Indiana. Those are like the 3 games I think I'm worried about blowout. Do you like Mo Harkless? Not really. God, I just don't think I'd be playing Mo Harkless today. There's too many other values I prefer. We've talked about so many other cheap guys that I like. Stevenson or DSJ? I might side with Lance now. That's a really close one, Gabe. But that's one I probably would have to look at again. Give me Lance, honestly. Give me Lance over DSJ. Davion Mitchell or Sykes? Give me Davion. Pivoting off of Bron and Cat to Bron and Giannis. I mean, I like that. If you wanna play the stars in that Lakers-Bucks game, like play Bron and Giannis together. I mean, if that game stays close, like you could definitely get big performances from both those guys. And I'm fine. I'm fine having my studs come from that late game. Don't the Pelicans have a ton of value too? Not really. They have some guys out, but it's not guys that are gonna impact the slate a ton. Like they still have a lot of bodies. The Pelicans do. They still have Ingram, J-Val, Hayes, Graham, Jones, Alvarado, Temple. I think they still have like 10 bodies. So I don't know if there's much value from the Pelicans. I just think with Hart out, with NAW out, that just makes guys like Ingram, J-Val look better. I don't know if there's any value plays I'd be going to. Does LeBron have 60-point upside on this slate? I mean, LeBron has 60-point upside every time he steps on the floor. In a big-time game against the Bucks, a game that expects to stay close, should be high scoring. I mean, I would not be surprised if LeBron puts up 60+. If Bembry starts for Brooklyn, would you like him more than Sykes? I would probably still prefer Sykes over Bembry. Just because Portland or Indiana, I mean, they only have 8 players. Brooklyn still has like 10 guys. And if the game blows out, like I don't think Bembry would play in a blowout, but I think Sykes definitely would. Bayer Barnes. Give me Barnes if I had to pick one there. Ayton or Williams? I would side with Robert Williams. Mykur Mitchell, Goga, Bron, Giannis, Thomas. I like that, William. I like those 5 guys all. Or I think all 5 of those guys look good today. 4,200 util. Let's see. I mean, if you don't have Goga, Dave, I would play Goga there. Sykes or Thomas, single lineup. I would still side with Cam Thomas over Sykes, but that's another really close one. On FanDuel, you can only play one center, so would you pay up for Jokic or would you spend up somewhere else and play Batase? I mean, it kind of depends on like the other positions. Like I would have to build out a FanDuel lineup to really answer that question. I would have to look at like all the salaries. I mean, getting your center spot on FanDuel is so crucial because you can only play one center. So I think I would want to like jam in Jokic there if I could. I'm sure there's enough value at other positions. Thoughts on DSJ? No one's talking about him. Am I wrong for liking him? I mean, I have no issues with DSJ. Again, Portland only has 9 available players, so DSJ is going to get plenty of minutes regardless. It's just that, coming off the bench, does he play like 35 minutes? Probably not, but he'll probably play like 25, 26 at least. Şengün or Batase? I would prefer Goga. Who's your favorite center play? I mean, it's probably Goga if he starts at center. Blake Griffin, I mean, I think with Claxton out, with Aldridge out, Blake Griffin should start at center again. The only worry I have with Blake Griffin is that if Brooklyn gets blown out, I don't think Blake plays in a blowout. I would think they would play sharp, so that's my worry. I think, Blake Griffin, Mills, those guys, if you're playing them, you're hoping the game stays close. Whereas someone like Cam Thomas, Kessler Edwards, those guys could probably still get there in a blowout because they would probably play in a blowout. Nurk and Randall or LeBron and McLemore? Give me Nurk and Randall. Hayes or Horford, please. Give me, if Jackson Hayes starts at power forward again, I would play Jackson Hayes. Şengün or Goga, give me Goga. Cole Anthony or Simons, give me Simons. I have Goga. Anyone else? Let me see. Already have Goga, then I would probably say, man, like you're probably looking to like a Pacer or like a Portland guy. So like maybe Washington. I mean, with Indiana only having 8 guys, I would have to think Washington plays at least like close to 30 minutes. So I would probably say Washington there if you already have Goga. LeBron, Cam Thomas, or Giannis and Sykes? Give me LeBron and Cam Thomas, but that's really close, Daniel. 7,200 util. Let's take a look. Try to answer these last few questions, then we're going to have to hop out of here, guys. 7,200 util. I would probably say Tom Lord, Robert Williams. John Towns projecting good. I mean, in terms of like points per dollar, they don't really project that well, but they should be really low owned. So I think, you know, John and Cat are definitely in play. They should be fairly low owned, both of them. Şengün or Griffin? I would side with Blake Griffin, but that's a really close one, Elvin. That's a really close one. Who's your favorite center tonight? It's got to be Goga if he starts at center. Giannis or LeBron? I would take Giannis straight up. Do you skip the 7 p.m. to hopefully see more starting lineups? It's all slate dependent, but I think on this slate, there's definitely a lot of pending news. We're going to have to wait and see who starts for Indiana. We're going to have to wait and see who starts for Brooklyn. We're going to have to see, you know, who's available in these late games from Sacramento. We're going to wait and see. You know, there's a lot to keep an eye on. So, and overall, this first game, this Phoenix-Philly game, there's not a ton that I love there outside of like Devin Booker and, you know, maybe like Embiid as a, you know, GPP option. So I think skipping the first game of the night is totally fine. Like, you don't have to roster anyone in that first game. Thanks for everything. You the man. Love all the content. Appreciate you, Daniel. Appreciate you, my man. All right, boys. I'm out of here. Best of luck tonight. Crazy, crazy slate. We'll be back tomorrow. Shorter slate tomorrow. I think like 5 or 6 games. But, you know, we'll probably have more news to talk about tomorrow. It'll probably be another crazy day because, you know, with the trade deadline being Thursday, there's probably going to be a lot of trades that go down tomorrow and Thursday. So there'll be a lot of news to keep an eye on tomorrow for sure. But good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning into the stream. We'll be back tomorrow, an hour before lock. Best of luck. Peace out, fellas.